That's the guy that fucking speaks Spanish to me. Yeah, no, see, a leaning tower of paint is probably not ideal to put your device on. And this is why I don't buy new devices. Ugh. At least I'm not upset when they fucking break. Fucking not high enough to do runway. Like 5'5", 5'5" or 5'6". Depends what shoes I'm wearing. But I'd say you need to be 5'7" to do runway. And I can't really get a knee job, so I also like fucking fucked up my skin with drugs, so it's a bit better now though. But kind of happy I didn't pursue the modeling thing. I'm literally a midget. Yeah, but it makes you way faster. Life is tough being short. That's funny. Yeah, but like, you get sticks. You know what? I want to get one of those fucking grabby sticks because I constantly will grab stuff and just. Yeah, but people who tower people are fucking weird. And poke them in the chest really hard. Okay. We're gonna do this. Oh, do I have one? I don't have any oil in my oil tank. So I cannot heat my house. I left this fucking piece of crap is like $60 at Walmart. And I've gotten one like last year I lived in a tent, but the year before that I lived in my truck. So me and my boyfriend, we just had like this little black heater. But like honestly, that kind of saved us for the winter that year. The only reason I'm doing the Instagram thing is because I want to fucking talk Keka. I'm gonna fucking beat that bitch. Girl is my spirit animal. Actually, wait. This boyfriend got me this new phone. It's got like a little stylus. Apparently, it's super expensive, but it's probably reported stolen. So they want me to go to the Samsung store to get them to unlock it. And I was like, yeah, but you guys did this like 15 years ago where you guys wanted people to pay to unlock their phones. Like, scam. I've tried to have girlfriends. I tried. I can only really have one female friend at a time. Once you start adding multiple females in there, they do the Bad Girls Club. Have you ever seen that show? It's fucking gross. But like, that's what my friends started to do when they were hanging out. They thought they were in the Bad Girls Club, and I was like, this is fucking stupid. Like, and I've just always I got really lucky with my guy friends when I was younger, and I first started high school because I hit on every single one of them, and they were all 4 years older than me, and all of them were like, "Oh man, we love you, but no, like we love you, and you're so pretty, but you gotta not be so easy." And I just cried. I was like, "You don't like me?" And they're like, "No, we love you, just not like that." But I get to walk around in short shorts and fucking walk past a bar, and literally they look away. I was like, "Ooh, this is new. bounce around in short shorts because I have like 5 very large men around me that are gonna make sure that I don't get raped. I totally took, what do you call it? I took advantage. My brain is fucking for shit right now. I'm like not fucking like doing this because this fucking stupid static shit. Took for granted is the phrase of it. I'm gonna be 30. Oh god, I'm gonna be 30 at the end of March. I don't celebrate my birthday anymore, so not since Allison died. Because before that, we didn't celebrate my birthday since I was in grade 4. And everyone was just kind of like, oh, okay, sure. How old are you? I'm sorry. Like, I mean to ask questions about you. My boyfriend has his first online friends. He's playing online games. 24! What a great age! Oh, wait, well, no. Maybe. 19 is when I stopped wearing clothing. There you go. I started wearing clothing when I was 16. By 19, I was over it. There's so many spider webs, I don't want to touch it. What is that? Huh. Weird. Maybe all furnaces have a... I'm assuming all furnaces probably have the trap door, actually. I think of it. Yeah, but you know what? Honestly, it'll go fast. Like... I try not to be, like, my sister's really bossy. I don't talk to her anymore. I thought me and my sister were gonna be the ones, like, who threw down. Turns out me and her fucking husband that threw down. Yeah, see, like, I was told that I have borderline personality disorder, but I was also told that within 25 minutes and 3 pieces of paper that I filled out, I had bipolar, acute mania, manic depression, suicidal tendencies, there was one more, and I was just like, it's only been really 25 minutes. It's our first time talking. I feel like it's a big list of fucking diagnoses and Prozac fucking made me go from being like sad, depressed, probably normal teenage depression to very suicidal. Like within 2 days, I was very, very suicidal, and I was like, I'm not taking these anymore. You know, like you can't just be not my you watch me. You think I'm not taking another one of these fucking pills. Like, I was told my mom has it, and turns out, if anything, I think I'm borderline maybe, but even borderline, I don't think. I think it's just having shitty people around you. Small towns, fucking lots of drugs, lots of alcohol, lots of inappropriate other things that, and they always just get worse and worse. Like, how do you hit on your daughter? Like, who the fuck does that? I had a friend, him and his mom, they were drinking one night, and they woke up fucking naked in the same bed the next morning. And they don't know what happened. So, that's fucked up. Ooh, ow. Right. This is the fucking guy that fucking doesn't speak English. And, like, they want me to speak French, and that's just, like, now I can barely speak English, too. So, that's okay. I wish I could speak Spanish. If that is what is you're speaking, but I can count to 10 in Spanish. Actually, apparently I do speak Spanish a lot. Vamos, rápido. No hablos. I also count to 10 in German. Eins, Preis. 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No couple words in Mohawk. Or Ganyagea. Guas means pig. Oh, for sure. Hands down. Absolutely hands down. Like, I haven't had an online friend since, like, IMVU. And, like, I think chat roulette was just, like, starting to become popular before it was just, like, all penis. Like, the craziest thing I saw was a sign that said, "Do you want to see the smallest penis in the world?" And I was like, maybe, actually. It really was. It really was the smallest penis in the world. Insta, right. Sorry. ADD. Where do you live? I always like Vicky's, honestly. He's a fucking Jenna's cousin. That girl was really nice. Never met a Vicky I didn't like. Taylor, on the other hand, I don't think I will ever get along with a Taylor, probably. Where do you live? Just like, that's the other thing, because I'm curious. A lot of people have been getting my videos pushed to them recently, and it's Finland. Really? What's going on in Finland, though? That's not even anything on the map. Like, I haven't heard anything about Finland. Isn't it near New Zealand? Maybe I'm very wrong. I have so many maps, too. We're only allowed to learn about Quebec stuff. Great nature. Oh, so jealous. Actually, this new place I moved is actually pretty nice. Lots of trees. And not like just a fucking shit ton of trees in one place. Be like, hey, nature. Like, it's actually like trees that are huge because they've been there for a long time. Instagram. Oh, right. That's why. My last job. Really? You just fucking up and move. In Canada, fucking probably the worst place to be right now. Like, I would not be surprised if Mexico tightens up their borders. I'm literally considering moving to Russia at this point. We're so close to being better than the States. So close. No, the reason I'm not on here is because I used it for my last business. My smoke shop. No, what? No. Sure, whatever. I don't care. At 64? Pixel. That means I have to fucking do it with my. Oh, my family's from uh, Glasgow and Wales, and they migrated here like when they were 18. I hear my Nana's voice in my head all the time. Oh, Madison! Oh, you dirty pig! I miss that lady so much. My grandfather's still alive, and they will never let me see him again. Why? No. Well, I hear boots of perpetual stomping. Daddy done. I spilled my only one. Why? Why do I have to put... Oh, fuck. I like that. I'm literally depressed for my eye. Yeah, but guys like shorter girls. Guys don't like... And also, you get to wear your heels. Like, I have so many of my 6-inch stilettos that are just, like, in a bin, in storage. And I'm just like, I can't justify just, like, having you out forever. I love my stilettos. But like I can't justify wearing them, and then like I'm taller than my boyfriend. I'm just like, or I'm, if not as tall, but maybe even just like slightly taller, and I just don't like it. It's super uncomfortable. What? Do I have to have like a dot or an underscore? Is that what this is? I'm not allowed to have original names here on Instagram. I guess capitals don't matter. No one number in it. What? Okay. That's stupid. Okay. M-A-E. Okay, so either I have to have a period. Oh, they're so far deep into storage upstairs. But I could tell you, they're fucking nice. They're from like Detox, and Oh my god. I used to go clubbing. I was a club rat. I used to like Montreal. So I used to go clubbing every weekend since I was 16 up until I was 19. Every weekend. We would go downtown, three girls, $20. And that pays for our public transit and uh basically I would walk in and I'd walk past like the line and go right into like one of the guests, what do you call it? Why are you so loud? I'll go into one of the fucking, what do you call it? Guest list booths. I just like walk in. They make my legs look ridiculous. Like, and I have a significant other that just doesn't care. And he's like, yeah, my girlfriend's hot. So what? Because my last boyfriend literally told me my fishnets, which I wear under my jeans, made me look like a suicide girl that wants to be bent over a dumpster. And I was just like, wow. Like, they're skinny jeans with holes in them, like a little bit, and my fishnets are underneath. I just don't understand how that merited that reaction. Even on here, like on here, I'll just start off and I'll just burp. I'll be like, oh, hot, eh? Enjoy drinking after that. And then my count will go from like 3, 4, 0. I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. Bye. Just get them all out of the way, like right off the bat. They started me at a truck stop when I was like 8. So I was kind of like raised among truckers. They thought I was adorable. Back in the day, if you couldn't afford childcare, your kid would go to work with you. You'd be surprised how open bosses are to free labor. Okay. Close. Period. No. Not East 1. Come on. There. Okay. I wanted to see, honestly, this is a new thing. I used to be able to moon somebody. I used to be able to make penis jokes or sex jokes, and it just be all jokes, like, and not just be like, I'm obviously secretly insinuating that I want to sleep around, and it's just like, yeah, today's the day I decided. Then they fucking idiots, all of them fucking idiots. That's why I got a dog. My dog will love me unconditionally forever. I realized this year, you do not want unconditional love. This is what I figured out. My boyfriend said that. He was like, why would you want that? I was like, because you love somebody forever? He was like, no, that sounds terrible. All relationships have conditions. You don't just let people fucking treat you like shit and you're like, but they love me. I was like, oh, that's a good point. No, I want some conditional love. We have conditions in our relationships. Don't fuck other people's what? Didn't think we had to spell it out. No, skip. Yeah, but like I already have Instagram somewhere. Skip, motherfucker. Wait, did I? Yeah, what? I already have his Instagram, I'm pretty sure.
This has changed a lot. Why are you allowed to make new accounts on everything now? No, back. Switch accounts. Here we go. Whew. Look at my password though. Mm-hmm. I can't read. I've been lying this whole time. Oh yeah. I know it's an account. Yes. Next. Everyone's upstairs. Their phone's only upstairs. I am putting in a lot of effort into you, stranger. It's all just. Oh, it's so broken.
Oh, it's 2 o'clock in the fucking morning. Cool. Okay, we're gonna do this and we're gonna get back to work. Because this has taken so long. Heels. Heels are just the solution to all short problems. That or getting a male species. I'm actually kind of making my whole house like every kitchen is like this with their cabinets where it's just like there's a top shelf that is obviously way too fucking high for anyone to reach. So you have to fucking climb onto the counter. You have to hope that the shelves are on well enough so you can hold on to them and they don't fucking all fall on you. Because that's always possible. Especially in this fucking house. Mickey Mouse. This is something Dom says to me. Mickey Mouse renovations. And I was like, I don't even know what the fuck it means. Now I know. I'll push this girl in front of the fucking bus if I ever see this girl again. I'm on the phone. Oh. Oh, look. I didn't even need to go upstairs. I did all that for nothing. Verify. 857-065. 857-065. Confirm. Oh, for fuck's sake. No. No, why would I do that? I'm like typing my old password. But everybody is a kitty now. I used to get threatened to get beat up in school for wearing a cat hat. Apparently, that guy that drove down the side of the road in Toronto. Apparently, one of the things he used to do was meow like a cat in high school, and they were like kind of insinuating that was like a hint that he would eventually drive his van down the side of the road. I was like, oh well. When you work in an office, you have to walk past the same person over and over every day. It's like super awkward to be like, sup. So I just meow at people. Meow. Meow. Meow meow. I walk up, I go meow meow. They're like, you're not a cat, right? It's like fucking now having cat ears being a unicorn is like the fucking coolest kid on the block. I used to get threatened over a hat. This girl was my friend at the time. Well, not really. We used to make Jenna cry all the time because it's my friend's little sister. But like, she used to hate me, and then she got pregnant, so she started being nice to me because she wasn't drinking anymore. And she was like, me and my friends saw you in the pizza shop, and I saw that cat hat on your head. We all just wanted to rip it off your head and punch you in the face. I was like, why would a hat make you guys so mad? It's a hat. You know you're not a cat, right? I identify as a cat. I would like to be addressed as Snooky Bubblefooz. Like, can you guys stop telling me to create a Phone number. That I can do. I have a phone number now. It's been a long time because I don't really like people calling me. I went 6 years without a phone. Use my iPod Touch. So if I don't have Wi-Fi, I'm busy. It took many years for people to finally accept you cannot get in touch with me 24/7. I don't want to know if someone's dying or dead. Call 911. I don't know why you people call me. I am not an emergency response. Canada. Canada. Okay. Yes. Question next. Question next. How many languages do you speak? Just curious. I would love to know. No, this is so much fucking work. Holy shit. Idiot. Like, trying to tab it. 4, 3, 5, 8, 6, 9. Done diddly. Are we done with this now? Right now? Sure. Next. Question next. Is that? Yeah, okay. 819275. Question next. Done. Damn. Not creating so strong. You sure? Continue later. No. Remind me later. Oh, well. Oh, cool. Okay. So does this mean it combines both of them? There's no way. I used to go in here all the time. Am I taking a different one? Where do you work? What do you do? I honestly can't really think of anything I want to do right now. I cannot work in customer service. I would literally go to jail. Can't handle the human race at the moment. Well, Vicky, you were a pleasure. I feel like we just did free therapy. It's awesome. I haven't had an online friend in fucking since I was a wee young lass. And all my friends are probably getting bored of my rambling and talking. But I hope we talk again. I hope that We connect more in the social realm. That was really cool. Okay, like I said, I signed up for this account thing. I will link all the accounts and all that. If you want to fit the Facebook thing, it's Madison Swan, like the duck. I used to get called ugly duck a lot. And I used to interact with someone who's not a fucking creep trying to fucking get me to undress on screen. Because that's not ever going to happen for anybody ever. Anyway, I hope your workout's good. Really? Why not? Because it sucks, right? Because they keep getting banned for listening to fuck radio. Oh. There we go. That's the fucking username that they made me take. Pretty sure I've had it. I only have one email. Anyway, I'll figure it out. Yeah, probably, in all fairness. They keep banning me for listening to the radio. Oh, okay, we'll talk soon, Vicky. Yeah, the Madawan. Well, it's gonna be for now until I figure out how to figure out where my old one was. Because they meshed it with my Facebook account now. And I apparently have 7 followers, though. Sarah Porter. Maybe this is it. It's supposed to be Pixelgasm, though. It's usually my thing. That was fucking loud. People? Oh, yeah, this is very... Oh, fuck. I'm looking at the people on here. I'm like, oh, God, no. They are way... I have 3 floors to my house, so I wouldn't have to go up 1 floor. I'd have to go 2 floors, and I'd have to go in my storage, which is a little door in the wall. I've always wanted one of those, and now I have 3. Yeah, I had to dig them out of a box, but eventually I will absolutely show you my retarded 6-inch heels. Because they're redonk. Oh, cool. I can unplug that now. Okay. Technically, me and you are both going to work.
Explains near-death experiences.
You know what? I'll even send them to you. You give me your address, I will send you my heels if you will actually wear them. Because they're like 6.5.
In a near-death experience, George, people talk about they separate from the body, they go through the tunnel into the light, they encounter deceased loved ones and other people that they know who've died.
In case you didn't hear that, I will literally send you my shoes. You give me your address at 6.5. I will send you all my old fucking 6-inch heels. Because they make me sad to know that they're shoved in a box in the depths of my home. I'll never wear them again, and I just have them there saying, no, I can just go look at them sometimes.
Therapy is fascinating. It's used by legitimate psychologists and psychiatrists to help subtle pieces of reincarnation tonight involve young children. There are adults which have these recollections of a prior life, which is usually discovered through PLR, past life regression therapy.
You had a story of a former police officer who didn't believe in reincarnation until something happened to him.
Exactly. Robert Snow, he's a great guy. I've had the pleasure of talking with him in depth about this. There was an Indianapolis police captain in charge of homicide investigation. Now, Midwestern, Methodist, reincarnation not part of his belief system until he encountered a therapist who specialized in PLR, and he thought it was, a bunch of mumbo jumbo and bunk.
More than your hippie, did you do
well, why don't you try this?
legislation?
So he thought that PLR was goofy people trying to find a way to blame their problems on someone else. But he said, okay, I'll give it a go. Well, she hypnotizes him, and he goes back into 3 different lifetimes, including woman. Yeah, this guy's a big bruiser, tough guy, alpha male, and he's like, I'm a woman. And so, but it was his most, quote-unquote, recent lifetime that was really startling. He saw himself in the 1800s, and he described it like being on a theme park ride. He said, you're traveling through this lifetime. I can see things, smell things, hear it, taste it. And he saw cobblestone streets and horses and buggies, and then he saw himself painting a portrait. And he could hear his own thoughts saying, I hate painting portraits, but I need some money. And then he said he felt connected to France, but then he didn't die there in some other big city. And here's the weird thing, George. The portrait he was painting was of a hunchback woman. So he comes out of this, and he was so fascinated, he did several more sessions visiting this artist's lifetime who was painting the hunchback woman. Well, this was in 1992, and the internet didn't become available to the public in 93. So he was trying to find about an artist who painted hunchback women. I mean, he couldn't find anything, so he kind of put it on the back burner. Well, he and his wife, they decided to go on vacation in New Orleans. They'd never been there before. And on their last day there, he's on Royale Street, and he walks into an art gallery, and he said his heart almost stopped when he saw the portrait of the hunchback woman. And he said he recognized every brushstroke, and the gallery owner said, well, the artist's name was J. Carroll Beckwith. I know he spent a lot of time in France, but that's all we have. Long story short, now the police investigator kicks in. So he goes to New York City to the National Academy of Design. He locates 17,000 pages of a diary. The artist's name was J. Carroll Beckwith. And he said it was funny because obviously his prior incarnation was just as detail-oriented as he was. So going through all of this, he verified every one of the facts that came through in his past life regression therapy. J. Carroll Beckwith painted portraits, hated doing them, did paint the hunchback woman, spent a lot of time in France, but died in another big city, meaning New York. And here's what's so fascinating is J. Carroll Beckwith wasn't famous. He wasn't Michelangelo, Monet, or Dali. He was an obscure, unknown portrait artist. A lot of people, when they talk about prior lives, are like, oh, I was Cleopatra, I was Louis XIV, or whatever. Why would he think he was an obscure, unknown portrait artist? And I think that adds to his credibility, because obviously not everybody's going to be somebody famous or whatever, notorious or wonderful in a prior life. And this is just one of the thousands of cases, documented cases of reincarnation. And so what's really wonderful about the time that we're living in, George, is the study of the soul, afterlife, and reincarnation has expanded from philosophy into physics. Even prominent quantum physicists like Dr. Michio Kaku, originator of string theory, has said that eternal life does not violate the laws of physics. And that's why, or part of the reason that I developed the electromagnetic soul theory is to provide a sound scientific basis for the different forms of spirit communication as well as reincarnation.
Let's go to the phones. Brian in Indianapolis. Speaking of Indianapolis, welcome to the show. Hi, Brian.
No, thank you.
Hey, George. Good morning. How are you?
Okay.
Hey, Mark. I got two quick.
No. Like, they all sound really, really convincing at the beginning. And then at some point, they just kind of, like, drift off into, like, some weird, psychotic babble bullshit that they're like, oh, yeah, but the alien thing, the UFO thing, it was cute. It was cute at first. Honestly, all the middle age and the senior guys, they were all psyched for the UFOs and the aliens. It was cute at first. We're talking about people who work in government, who have shit ton of money, who I think maybe they actually believe this. And now it's concerning. Now I'm concerned. Fucking not aliens. It is Elon Musk and his stupid fucking SpaceX satellites, goddammit. Oh, what? Other countries have fucking satellites? Like, only 20 years before us. What? Oh my god, why?
Before he has to deliver on pharmacare. This is what he's setting up. This is the move that he's about to make.
Why would you tell me that?
Welcome back to Northern Perspective, everyone. I'm Cypher.
And I thought, everyone is talking about what happened in question period today, but nobody's talking about what happened outside of question period yesterday.
Politics is a game of chess. The game board spans our country from coast to coast, and the pieces symbolize the moves that each of the party leaders makes over the course of a prime minister's term of office.
When the king falls, the game is over, and checkmate is declared. Then we have an election, the board is reset, and the game begins anew. The conclusion of the current game is at hand, and we will show you why in this video.
Let's take a look.
Here's the reality. When we formed government in 2015, we had to undo the firing of thousands of border services agents that the Harper government cut. We had to rehire them. He is always suggesting cuts. Meanwhile, we are investing to fight money laundering, to fight organized crime. The Conservative Party seems to vote against all these initiatives.
Pay attention to the look in Justin Trudeau's eyes in this video. He doesn't look calm.
No, he looks rabid.
No,
Yeah.
because he's on
He looks
drugs.
nervous.
Everybody
He looks
in Parliament
panicked.
smokes.
He looks like he's about to be kicked out of office.
The opposition. What we cut was auto theft. We cut auto theft by 50% under the previous common sense government. And he's right. We did it at a lower cost to taxpayers. And he's also right that he reversed a reduction in auto theft because it has exploded by 32% since he took office, just as the bureaucracy has exploded. He has not put it into frontline officers. In fact, at the Port of Montreal, there's only 5 of them to inspect 500,000 containers, only 1% of which get inspected. Why would he cut the high-priced consultants and bureaucrats and get boots on the ground?
hired all the public
We
servants
were
to
critical
hire
what the
private
leader of the
jobs.
opposition was saying if he hadn't voted against sending $121 million to the province of Ontario to fight against organized crime and
Oh,
if he hadn't attended these and announced that he's voting against our fight against money laundering. Mr. Speaker, he still has time to change his perspectives and get behind our initiatives to fight organized crime, to fight auto theft, and to stand up for Canadians. He cut thousands of jobs under his previous government from border services. We've invested in them, and we will continue to.
He's so tense.
Yeah, and he's tripping up again and again and again. Like, he's worse than me.
We're focusing on Justin Trudeau for a reason. Don't worry, everybody. But his body language is telling us all we need to know.
The honourable member, the honourable leader of the opposition. I'll say it softly and slowly so the Prime Minister can understand. Cut auto theft by 50%, by half. Yes, while reducing the cost of the bureaucracy. And yes, we're voting against him putting hundreds of millions of dollars more into high-priced consultants and back-office bureaucrats that don't stop crime. My common sense plan will scan every container going out of the 4 biggest ports and put 75 border agents to do inspections on the ground. Why can't we have more boots on the ground and fewer bureaucrats in office? The right honourable Prime Minister.
How do you fight statistics like that? Well, wait, man. The answer is you can't. You cannot fight the fact that the Conservatives spent less and got more done.
But do you see how Pierre is getting into Trudeau's head by saying things like, well, speak softly so he can understand? Pierre is playing mind games because he knows he's the top dog right now. He knows that he's going to be sitting in Justin's seat in just a few months.
Yeah, absolutely he is. And you see the difference in body language in the Conservatives and Pierre. You know, they're confident. They have purpose. They're taking one step in front of the other and charging ahead. The Liberals, there's no soul. There's no life. There's nothing.
It's like an empty husk of a man.
It's an empty husk of a government.
Speaker, again, he talks about boots on the ground, but the government he was part of that he's taking credit for now actually cut thousands of jobs of boots on the ground at the Canada Border Services Agency. We've continued to step up to support Canadians. They like to mention C5, which is a bill that kept mandatory minimum penalties for car thefts on the books. They mentioned C75, which is a bill that raised maximum penalties on car theft. We're going to continue to invest in fighting money laundering, and we hope, and organized crime, and we hope that the Conservatives change their mind and vote with us to crack down on organized crime.
Why would the Conservatives, vote for anything that you put forward? Because you're literally the largest organized crime organization in the country.
Seriously, you guys are so corrupt. Like, the mob is probably calling you guys for tips.
Yeah. They're like, damn.
How did you do that? How did you get away with it?
Hold my beer in every scenario.
The honourable leader of the opposition. He's hiked the cost. He's hiked the crime. He's not worth the cost. He's not worth the crime after 8 years. He's also not worth the hypocrisy. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has been claiming for months that he had no involvement in or knowledge of the invitation of a former Nazi soldier to the visit of the Ukrainian president. Now we know that he personally invited that same individual. He actually said the opposite. And he said that the former speaker had to resign over doing the exact same thing. So will he hold himself to the very same standard and admit that he's not fit for office?
I don't remember another scenario. Could have happened, but I don't remember another scenario where Pierre has outright said that Trudeau should resign. I don't recall one. But, this is the thing. It's punch after punch after punch. This is how you know the House of Cards is falling, because the amount of, I'll say, problems that are now coming at the Liberals, they're accelerating.
Yeah, it's exponential. Like, look at the things we're learning in committee. it's accelerating at an unprecedented rate, and I think the Liberals may want to stop that train before everybody knows exactly what they've done.
Est-ce que tu peux me poser une question en le faisant, si tu veux? Non. Jean-Philippe, enchanté. Enchanté. Je suis curieux de savoir qu'est-ce que tu fais exactement dans la vie. Moi, je travaille comme infirmier en santé mentale.
The attacks that the leader of the opposition is choosing to make against the Ukrainian-Canadian Congress demonstrates the extent to which this Conservative Party no longer stands with Ukraine. They have an opportunity in just a few minutes, Mr. Speaker, to stand and vote in favor of a free trade deal that Volodymyr Zelensky himself is asking this House to pass, and he is choosing to not stand with Ukraine, not stand with Ukrainians, and not stand with Ukrainian Canadians. Why are they abandoning Ukraine?
Why is everybody from Lithuania and Ukraine come
It's
here?
cringe.
It's terrible.
It's super cringe.
And, it's funny, that seems to be the whistle that the rest of the caucus hears, and it's like, oh, we're supposed to stand up and clap now. He's starting to do his deep voice, his big boy voice. So it's time to get up and clap. And it's terrible.
Well, and just what's going through the minds of those MPs standing there clapping like a bunch of seals, knowing that half of them are not going to have a seat in a couple months.
Yeah, and if they're not careful, it's going to be more than half.
After months of feigned outrage and apologies on behalf of everyone else, a new report by the Globe and Mail shows that the Prime Minister's office invited a Nazi to his diplomatic reception in Toronto. He blamed the Speaker, saying that he acted alone. He's saying he had no idea about any of it. He called for him to take responsibility. He watched him resign, and yesterday he tried to blame the Ukrainian Congress. After all of the embarrassment all over the world, why is he above the rules that he applies to everyone else?
Mr. Speaker, what we're talking about is some name that came from a community organization. Obviously, the Prime Minister had no knowledge of this, but here we know what is happening over here. We are voting today at third reading on the Canada-Ukraine free trade arrangement. Mr. Zelensky stood there and asked us to pass this. Your opposition to this bill is a moral failing of historic proportions, and we
If we try to fight Russia, we will lose.
response to our effort to support.
Okay. Oh, I'm confused. What does that mean? What is this about this time? Seems like council's always hiding something. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Ha! Oh, shit. Oh, dear. Oh, wow. The Native Reserve next to me, their council put out a statement. Does anybody really understand what's going on? I gotta be honest, speak from my heart because so many people are asleep and don't see the big picture. Big picture is the government's biggest goal to assimilate our people, and our own people are helping the governments by enforcing laws and regulation systems to make our people argue and fight over mostly money. Our people don't like being told the truth about what's really going on. Most of the people don't realize that they are fully assimilated because all they think about is making a buck. Why I can say this is because I was once like that, but I changed my way of thinking after I got arrested in 2008. It took me a while to sink in. I guess I had to take a step back and figure out things, and getting away from Ganawage helped me change my way of thinking. Everyone needs to take a step back and see what's really going on because if we stay divided, Ganawage will be lost. And so will all our rights. Our people just need to learn how to forgive each other. And, oh wow, think about folks. The whole town needs to stop and take time to really think about what's really going on. If not, everything will be lost. The government will get their way. That was honestly really great. That was really, really, really awesome. That was beautiful. Mm. Mm. I'm falling so asleep. Okay. Oh god. Oh. Fuck. Keep my computer on the stage. Ugh. Nope. Okay. Ah, I got water to rinse. No, fuck. I can make the computer. Oh, thank you. Price is super good. Cause you make me a little stronger, make me work a little bit harder, make me okay, make Kitty onesie.
It's Fa Friday on This Is Going Well, I Think, with Cooper, and I am David Cooper. This is the only show where no one's listening, no one cares. The show where every episode's the last episode. Today, our foreign correspondent of a foreign nature from the foreign country of London, England. It's Tony 5 to do, well, whatever the hell he does on this show. So I hope you pack your scuba gear, because we're diving in.
show it. Hands in, hands in, hands in, and go. That's right. Say more than 2 listeners, David.
More than 2 listeners, David.
Play the fucking theme song.
Okay, all right.
You haven't done it for so long.
And now, live from London, England, it's foreign correspondent Tony Five. There's music.
Thank you, baby. So, how are we, my friend?
Good, I got a bit of a bone to pick with you. I'm waiting to interview you today, and you just sent me a screenshot of yourself FaceTiming with my older brother, John.
He's gay.
Yeah, he is good. And is that an important part of the FaceTime?
Yeah, he's called Gay Brother John. I've got it in my phone as Gay Brother John. EBJ.
I used to have you as Tony, last name from England. With your last name.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we are. He is coming to the UK with his partner, I think, Thursday. I've taken the afternoon off, so I will meet him, and we have been fucking and ahhing about this. You move in a different circle to me, David. I am Tim Hortons, and he is more, I don't know, Tim at the fucking Royal Cup.
He is a successful small business owner, and he wants to go out for a nice dinner, and I think he wants to treat you.
No, he does.
Okay.
No, he said he wants to treat you, which is fine, and it wasn't the money, but I wanted to do what I did with you and Miranda, which was like take you to my mum's, make you feel really embarrassed with all of that, where I live, essentially the ghetto, take you to a Turkish meal, and let you go on your merry way. But he was like, oh, I don't think John will like that. And I was like, okay, come to carriages, we're going to have cocktails at 6, and something French at 7:30 that I can't pronounce, and it was dysentery at 9. I don't know what
Team theory at 11. I get it.
Yes. My long-term memory of your brother is how cocky he was everywhere. Once you put him on the subway, the guy changed. David, I've never seen that metamorphosis, like the fact that he couldn't touch anything, his eyes were twitching, he didn't want to move, it was hilarious.
The funniest part about that was, well, yes, he went ghost-like because he was terrified of the subway in New York, but he kept on insisting that he didn't need to hold the pole. I was like, I'll be fine. I'm like, no, you won't. You know, you look at all these New Yorkers, some of them with peg legs, some of them without peg legs. None of them are freestanding in the middle of the train because none of them want to fall flat on their face. Within 30 seconds of the train taking off, he finally grabbed a bar, which I was glad.
Yeah, which I was glad, but he didn't want because he was obviously all the jerk. And I found out that because he was so cocky in your apartment, he was loud and brash and everything. And as soon as he was on the subway, he was so meek and much. Why did you touch it? What did I say wrong?
Nothing. I had the channel open where I played your theme music, and so I just closed it because I heard the white noise in my ear, and I thought, why is the white noise coming from my audio equipment? And then I closed the channel.
I'm very aware. For the listeners that don't know, David's got an anal finger that he taps every time I clash with him or say something, so he can go back later and cut me out and go, hey, come in there.
No, it's not a bad thing. It's just a reminder to myself that this section needs cleaning up. Sometimes it's good that you interrupt me, but I just clean it up a little in post.
Sometimes it's time to make Morse code.
Every time I look at my mixer, you freak out like you've done something wrong. You have.
So yeah, so that's Thursday. So we had a nice chat, which was pretty cool. I went to see yesterday. You've probably heard of it or probably seen it. It's the Book of Mormon.
Yeah.
My God, I've never laughed so much. I don't know how. All I could think about is if it was about Islam, that we would be the end of the world.
And apparently the Mormons are good sports about it. Not anymore, but when the play first started running, during the beginning run of the musical, the Mormon Church for 1 second tried to stop it, and then they realized they couldn't. So what they did was they took out ads, full-page ads in the playbill, which is the little thing in New York that you get when you're sitting down that says who's in the show and whatnot. And they said, this is all very fine and well and funny, but if you're interested in about Mormonism, like, visit this website. Like, Mormons like to laugh too. Like, none of this is true, but if you want the facts, like, we would be more than happy to provide them. Enjoy the show. Like, they were good sports about it, and yet they had to get the last word there by having advertisements for, like, websites and stuff.
can't beat them, join them. And good for them. It was hilarious. It was absolutely hilarious. I've never thought I would be in a show where they were talking about AIDS and raping babies and cutting off clitorises. That would be funny, but it was hilarious. It was absolutely brilliant. Really well written. The choreography fantastic. So yeah, I enjoyed that. That was last night. That was good fun.
I think it was the first show Miranda ever saw on Broadway back in like 2015 or 2016. Yeah, we went to New York and she hadn't seen a Broadway show, so we went to Book of Mormon. It was very funny. I remember just thinking it was a lot of fun.
So what is happening in your David Cooper's life then? Because last week I was in Spain. I don't know whether I told you. I went to Spain on Wednesday, which was my birthday. Last week, which you've forgotten, by the way.
I know, happy belated. I'm a bad friend.
Yeah, terrible fucking hell.
Next year I'm gonna remember twice.
Yes, fine. It's no problem. And then I came back, which was good. And then when you spoke, so what's your how are we gonna take over the world? Come on.
Well, I don't really talk about it on the show, but the short of it is I've got 2 things I'm working on. I don't know if either will pan out. Probably they won't. They're just in their infancy. But I've got
Is it 2 words? Trader Joe's?
It's not me working at Trader Joe's.
Okay, carry on. Did they refuse you?
They're planning to get us back on the air, and I'm excited and I'm hopeful, and I don't want to get my expectations up too much because I don't want to have a big crash if it doesn't work out.
I am swinging. If you imagine, you know, like when they do the swing states in America, they're voting.
I thought that just states with a lot of swingers in them.
Okay, so I'm swinging towards Burning Man, David. Why? Somehow you're subliminally affecting me, and I'm in my mind now. I'm thinking I can do this. I've started to shit on the floor in my house. Which has prepared me immensely. I've not washed for 3 days, which I combined it with a major depressive episode, so I don't know when before I can shower in 3 days, so I survived that. And yeah, I shit on the floor, and I'm going to specify the people going work tomorrow. So I think I can be a Burning Man at some, or burning thing. I mean, I identify with Burning Man, but whatever.
Well, here's the thing. I think you should watch videos on the. Do you ever go on YouTube? I can't stand it. But you go on there.
YouPorn, yes.
Not YouPorn, YouTube.
So
Basically.
Hello and welcome. I'm back. This is going well, I think, with David Cooper, and I am David Cooper. This is going well, I think. The show where no one's listening, no one cares. This show is essentially episode, the last episode for today. I'm going to put out what most people find to be the best thing I do. That's when I put out an episode of this show to say there will be no show of this show on this show. Make sense? And what is the reason for my absence? I'm working as a pilot. And by that I mean I'm working on a pilot. I can't say more. Who knows what'll happen, but that's working on some sort of radio, podcasting, whatever pilot. But the good news, as of tomorrow, I'll be dropping new episodes of this here podcast. And while this pilot may go somewhere it may not, what I can promise you is wherever you're listening, you will have access to whatever it is. That's the best hint I'm going to give you. Was that too cagey? Probably. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being patient. And we'll be back tomorrow with a great show. Oh, we're still up here. I'm on you.
David Cooper. This is going well. I think the show where no one's listening, no one cares, where every show's the last one. Today, a smelly guest. He stinks. At least when he's working, he might. He's a proctologist. He's quite popular on the internet. He practices north of Los Angeles at Thousand Oaks Proctology. You can find him on TikTok at Twisty Dog. For first practice, not something I'm talking about, but it's amazing. 805-230-BUTS. That's B-U-T-Z or B-E-Z in Northern Canada. So let's dive in and let's dive deep with proctologist Dr. David Rosenfeld. Hi, David. Dr. David Rosenfeld. Thank you for joining us.
Sure, thanks for having me.
I am thrilled, to say the least, to have you here.
Thank you. You look like a very young man, like in your early mid-20s.
Oh my God. I don't know if you're hitting on me, but it's working. I'll tell you that much. I am 37.
Okay, wow.
How long have you been doing busting?
It's 97.
Wow.
Yeah, 27 years now.
Why does one go into the field? I feel like that's a question you get a lot. And please don't just say it's for the money. But I do know that proctologists can do well. But why does one go into the field?
It's my number one question.
I know. And I'm sure you're sick of answering it, but I'm sure every time you answer it, the person is fascinated.
Yeah, well, my canned answer is that when I was a teenager, if you want to be successful, you have to love what you do. You have to work really hard. You have to start at the bottom and work your way up. And I'm like, okay, what job does that? So I went into this, and I'm still working my way up. I keep telling them, Dad, that was bad advice. I'm still at the bottom.
There you go. Isn't there a Kramer quote about proctologists? I just tried to look it up, but I couldn't find it, where he said, if you're ever near one at a party, hang right there. Stay there, grab a drink, because the anecdotes are always amazing.
It is possible. I know they put Silver Jerry in the show. I've seen that episode. I will talk about that. In fact, when I first started out, the producer of the show, I don't know which one, but he went into an office in Beverly Hills and spoke with the proctologist. I was they're there for a reason, and they came up with the episode, and they wanted Dr. Superman to be on the show, but he wasn't there. At the very, very end, they showed the door, and I actually worked in that office for about 7 years. Superman had to retired already, and I joined him. I heard the story. He was the impetus for that.
Wow, you worked with the original Ass Man. That was the license plate of the doctor in the show.
Yeah, in the office, right. And I don't know if that was his license plate. He retired about 3 years before I got there, 4 years before I got there. But I worked with his partners, and everybody shared the story about how that happened. And honestly, it's interesting. Being the life of the party, I'm not really. I have a lot of jokes, but I'm not a comedian. I just do my thing. I'm pretty chill. You'd be surprised, how the conversation turns when people find out you're proctologist.
I'm sure. And you mentioned the license plate, because that was in Seinfeld. You don't know if that was the real license plate, but I will say this. I have IBS. I have long celebrated I don't even call it irritable bowel. I call it irate bowel, because my bowels are angry. In New York, I wanted a vanity plate for my motorcycle, and so I requested POOMAN. And they rejected it. So, but I do have a check from the comptroller's office of the state of New York with the memo of the check. It just says "Pooh Man" refunding me for the fee to pay for a vanity license plate. So I'm going to frame that check because I have a government check that says "Pooh Man."
I'm surprised they wouldn't do that. I see so many things out there that are closed.
They want like a description of why, and I wrote I'm a member of like the. I don't know, I just made up like an organization with that.
I have IBS and I'm trapping all the time. I'm with the food app. They probably said, okay, that will do.
And I wore my sweater for you, even though it's really hot in my apartment. It's the IBM logo, but as IBS. I just showed it. and that kills San Francisco. I lived in the Bay Area before I moved to New York, and all the techies know the IBM. Whenever I wear the sweater there, for the New York people, like, why you wear that?
That's funny. Yeah, IBM, I still have a little cartoon about all the boats I would have, and IBM is one of them. And that's the floater would be another one. Rear Admiral was on the name of the boats if I had a boat.
Yeah, I had something like, I think, 200 or some odd Bitcoins in 2011, and I sold them at about a $400 loss. I bought them for like $1. I sold them for like 75 cents or something. I don't remember. And also, I had a lot of, I like Elon Musk, but I do like how much money I would have had if I didn't sell my Tesla stock in 2013 when it took a slight dip. Now it's, anyway.
Well, funny. Why? Changed it. Now they're not even on the market. I don't know what happened to my shares, but I think they're worthless.
You should have gotten some money for them. You should have gotten a check or a deposit in your brokerage account.
Now that it's he turned it into X, and then I asked my advisor, I said, so what happened? He was not that he was shares with nothing.
Well, yeah, you shouldn't. There should be some extra money in your account because you know what? I don't want to. Let's not do I just got in an argument with my friend who's a financial planner last night about how I'm organizing my finances. Okay, let's talk you. Let's talk proctology. I feel like if you had a bad story about why you got into it, everyone would be mad. Like if it was just, I don't know, I got the best grades in med school and courses related. I feel like you're almost forced to have a great story. If you don't have one, you gotta make one up.
Well, the first one is that one. Another one is my dad is one of the dentists. I mean, he was a dentist for like 48 years. He retired. I said, man, I never want to be a dentist. That's so gross putting your hands to people's mouths all day. So people look at me like, wait a second. I'm just kidding. Like they actually think I'm serious. I mean, that's the funny part when I tell them that. They go, but I'm kidding.
Mouths are way grosser than butts, I think. If you look at just a cursory look at the adult internet, people are way more interested in going in and out of butts than they are mouths.
Yeah, I don't know. So I have all my answers, but I mean the real one is just better lifestyle, and it was fun. It was true. I definitely have a better lifestyle being a proctologist than with a general surgeon or thoracic surgeon or a specialist. So that was really the main reason. And I don't take call anymore. I don't even do major colorectal surgery, which I trained to do. I just do proctology. So I'm truly a butt doctor. I was thinking of getting a plate that had like butt empty on it or butt doctors, but I just left it alone.
Yeah, well, the disappointment when my plate was rejected. So
yeah,
I don't want to put you through that.
No, I wouldn't want to be rejected by the DMV out here.
Okay, so let's go through some of these things my producer wanted to talk to you about. In particular, I was watching one of your videos on fecal impaction. You want to walk me through what that is and why I should be worried about it?
So, thanks for watching the video. Yeah, I really appreciate it.
I mean, they're great videos, and honestly, Tushy Doc, I couldn't say no.
I don't get, just real quick, my main follower is 55 and older, and 75% are women.
Interesting.
So it's very interesting. My demographic is 55 years young and women. So they're very blessed.
I don't surprise me because I feel like men are idiots. We don't care about our health. We're like, we're fine. Whereas women are smart. They're like, okay, I should know about my health.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the younger generation. I'm thinking all these kids, I mean, it's all about farting and pooping. I think they'd be like laughing left and right and sharing the videos. But maybe that's not what happens. But fecal impaction is, impaction is when something gets stuck in an area and the rectum is the last part of the colon. It's a pretty muscular organ. And it's a reservoir, basically. The bladder is a reservoir for urine, and it just pulls the urine, and the bladder gets distended. It gets a certain point where it signals the brain, okay, that's enough. And the brain says, okay, I got it. It fires the bladder contracts and pushes urine out. It's the same thing with the rectum and the anus. When the rectum gets distended to a certain point, it triggers the brain. The brain says, okay, it squeezes the rectum, and you get the urge to the bathroom, and all the stool comes out. If we get constipated, the one thing that the colon does, its main job, its main function is to suck water out of the colon for the body. So the body needs water. So it's a dehydrating organ. And if the stool sits in the rectum is still absorbing water. The stool gets a little bit harder, and a little bit harder, and it becomes bigger, and it gets harder to go through the narrow opening of the anus. And even though the anus is open pretty wide, when it gets impacted, it's just too big to come out. And the hard part is that, one, there's cramping inside the rectum. So the rectum's squeezing to get the stool out.
Okay, and the anus on the other end is squeezing, saying, oh, no, I know it's coming out, and there's no way I can handle that volume of stool. It's just going to rip. I don't want that. Squeezing one end, and you're squeezing the other end, and in the middle, there's a lot of pressure and tremendous pain in the pelvis. Also, problem patients have is the only stool that will come out is liquid stool. So when liquid stool comes out, it'll ground that attachment along the lining of the bowel, it gets the anus, and it just comes flowing out because you can't hold it in. And now this liquid stool, which is like battery acid, is pouring all over the anus, is basically, all day. And it really starts to burn the anal skin, which causes pain, which causes spasm, and then the rectum and the anus are both spasm. It's really harsh. I mean, if anyone who's had IBS who's had gas pain, so you get the really bad gas pain, it's kind of empty in your abdomen, and it's so stuck. The flow out here, it's like something like pain. It really hurts. It makes your bottom people open. Now, when patients don't go to the bathroom and it remains impacted, it gets so tight in the rectum that the rectum lining starts to die from the product. And the lining gets so weak that the liquids will swell through the pelvis, and that causes peritonitis. And an abscess or even peculum peritonitis where so much stool leaks out, it's almost beyond.
Is it life-threatening?
It is life-threatening, absolutely. People get really sick when the rectum vibrates and all that stool comes pouring out. And it's a tough operation to get into because there's stool everywhere. And those patients would require an ostomy or a colostomy for a while. But yeah, so when they come into the office, they'll tell them this story and know exactly what's going on. And what we do in the office or the emergency room, they go there is to basically do a visual exam, do a rectal exam, put a finger in, you feel from stool, and just use your finger to break up the stool into pieces and pull it out, piece by piece, until you work the big bolus, that large bolus from stool out, and then a few enemas, the rest of it comes out. And I will tell you, as far as a satisfaction score,
I'm feeling just like I was feeling the pain when you described it. I'm feeling the relief right now.
yeah, no rated at 12 out of 11. I mean, 12 out of 10. When I'm done and they use the restroom and they sit in the chair, now the bottom is sore, obviously the anal skin is pretty tender, but you can just see the look on their face. I mean, they come in and pain and agony, and just their eyes are just.
What the fuck that was?
And all of everything is as if it were real. It sounds like a ridiculous thing to say, but it's very rarely done. Very small people likely compared to non-human primates that live very much like their own. What if everything we knew about human history was wrong? Received wisdom is that humans have been around for 250,000 years, but we only start agriculture in the last 10 to 12,000. After that, we have cities, astronomy, numbers, civilization. But according to a book by David Langro, the recent systematic labor, they say that cities judges not culture. Agriculture. The story of prehistory is far more complex and interesting than we thought, and that it has a remarkable political implications. Anyway, what do you know? You're an archaeologist. You teach archaeology at University College London. Is
Is that a job you always wanted to do when you were a child?
No, when I left school, I wanted to hit the bit. I really did a bit of that. I think from the age of about 14, I fell in love with acting on stage. I joined up with the National Youth Theatre, which was a wonderful time. First time in London, first national theatre, all over the country, UK. And I did it. I left school and got an agent and did that for a while. And did various other things. And then I fell into archaeology. Yeah, I think it was more of a sort of young adult there. And I met child actors, very, very specific. Never quite one of those. But what happened basically after trying various other things, flirtation with and various other things, I wasn't really finding a direction. So I had good grades. I wrote to all the colleges saying I can do English literature. They all told me it's easier to get into places like that if you apply for a subject that's a bit off beaten track. And they just archaeology and anthropology, which is actually the name of the teaching course. So I wrote to one college asking if I could do that, and I got an interview. Went into very formidable woman called Barbara Kennedy. She was a geographer, so they didn't have any archaeologists at that particular college. And she grilled me for a while, and I sort of smelled archaeology was a great passion. And she reached out and produced from under her chair all these letters that I'd written to other colleges saying, can I come to English literature? All stuff. But then she admitted that I was technically a church student, although probably anything but I was classified as a church student. And I nearly made a complete mess of that, actually. Nearly got slung out after about 6 months. But I had one teacher. It was one of those things where it's just one person who actually gets you hooked and gives you the confidence. That was a couple of Sharon, who passed away very young. She was just had a massive heart attack one day. But really sort of got me to pull my finger out and got me addicted to this stuff. And I didn't really look back after that. Back to their place after that, and my head was just full of images. I could see all the different sort of waves, migrations and invasions, and I produced this sort of turn, pre-computers. I think I got like a calligraphy pen or something, and sort of trying to create. I remember my gran helping me with coffee grinds to sort of age the paper. So there's something there, which is completely irrational. You just feel attached to this idea. And I don't have any family. Just identify as a place with history. And I don't know why that happens, but clearly people who choose to pursue archaeology, they have
The conventional view is humans have been around for 200, 300,000 years.
Our first guest tonight is people on television. Last night he won his.
I'm sitting on the down. Oh, thank you. Let's agree to disagree.
I heard you backstage while I was reading the promos during the commercial break. I will read the promos to the local affiliate, and you were just laughing hysterically.
Yeah, because it's 1,000 yards there. Your eyes, just a complete emotional death note. I find it spirit. There's the whole of coming in that I was working just to witness that. Just the emotional implosion. Barry and San Antonio.
He seemed to work his way up to the LA eventually. And thank you, by the way, for helping me with this big business venture. That was very fun.
It is, I think I was genuinely post the LBDC undergoing the chaos. There is so much bullshit. So many people say things they don't need. Like what? We love the show. You go through that and think about the end of the panic when you're the end. Look you in the eye and say, Neils, right, roll for me. Exactly. He mentioned last night he was even more.
But congratulations on the end.
Oh, thanks, man.
You are. It's great. I mean, what you do is unbelievably incredible. I actually want you to know something. Why don't you know? Sometimes I think you have kind of an inkling, a hint of this.
I'm in the break situation already.
You had any idea how much when I say we, I mean the network talk show, then you know what I'm talking about. All of our friends complain about you being in our category because you do, like, I don't know, 12 shows a year, half hour.
It's a lot more than that.
It's more than that, I know. I'm exaggerating. And we're like, this is crazy. It's not fair. Why are we in the category with them? And then they move you out of our category. Guess what? We all lost again. Oh, we heard a whole lot more.
At least when I was there, there was an excuse. I didn't all think you were threatened.
That's the thing.
Oh, no, what a way. I'm just blown away. It was a healthier situation.
I swear to God, I was washing the dishes this morning. I had that very thought, you know, if they put out the rankings, if it was like the Olympics, and you knew you didn't even get bronze, it would be a terrible thing. Yeah, I think we made a terrible mistake.
I think it would be much better to have these there than to play.
Yeah.
Right? You have to confront your own fate.
Do the folks at HBO appreciate you and your show and what you do?
I'm really grateful that we won the Emmys, because I do think the Emmys the only thing stopping them from getting rid of us. So, at least each year the Academy makes it harder for them to do. Because every time they say congratulations, it is coming through your team, go, one more year, I'll put the sword back in my team.
You say that in a joking way, but I know that there's definitely some.
Oh, there's definitely some truth to that. Yeah,
Real truth there.
I think there is a part of them that would like to stop. They can't because they think you're moving.
And people love the show, and it's important for their credibility to keep you on, and yet you do fight the hand that keeps you very, very rich.
You know, there is no take your hand. I'm like a badly behaving dog. I'll take the treat, I'll take the fingernails.
Lawyers, do you have, like, is there a team of lawyers specifically assigned to your show?
Yes, definitely, yeah.
And how often do you meet with them?
I mean, we interact with each other. We don't meet in the same place. I don't think that's the case.
Okay.
But yeah, in the week running up to the stories, we'll get one on the monthly tell us what they're doing. This will be a big sign. I think I've got to apologize. You can hear it. They go, oh, what are you going to say about Bezos? That's interesting.
So you wait until the week before the show before you reveal, and then they have to figure things out.
I think the tension between us comes from this. I think we have two different opinions of what
incentive for them to say, yes, go ahead and do that. Because they're not up there getting anything. In fact, you got a lot of maybe throw those guys a few trophies to get them excited.
I think lawyers are already adequately rewarded. You do in this country. I think the last thing lawyers need is more encouragement to litigate this case.
Did they ever laugh others like Zooms or whatever you guys had? No.
There's more. I'm not trying to make our lawyers laugh. I'm trying to bring them to more. Understand the things that you cannot change.
We're going to take a break. When we come back from break, I want to talk to you about this podcast that we did together over the strike and some of the things that I learned about you from that time. We didn't know each other that well, and I feel like now we know each other a lot better. John Oliver is with us. Last week, John Oliver, Daniel Brooks, and Pete Yorker all the way. John, over the strike, when I say we, I mean you, me, Alan, Stephen Colbert, Seth Meyers, did a podcast called The Strike Force 5.
Right now, somewhere, Seth Meyers died in something.
Then they didn't know I was going to understand it. And he ended up giving away through the rough.
I think this is gone. That's all without it.
I disagree. Well, we really all hesitant to do this.
Oh, sure, yeah. 5 verbal steamrollers just smashing into each other. A lot of fun getting to know each other more.
It took us a few episodes to try and figure it all out, but eventually we had to different characters.
Yeah, very good fun. And then right towards the end, it started getting tense. And it feels like we were one more show away from getting into a fight. And I think that in many ways, is the tragedy of the road strike ending when it did. One more week and you could have seen.
There was also an episode where we invited Tony to be on the podcast with us, and then we forgot to tell him to call into the podcast, and so then he was not on the podcast.
I know, exactly. And then he could have been on the podcast when he was backstage and did off.
Yeah, that's right. Wow. What is it? So what I learned about you was something I did not expect at all, is that you have a very juvenile sense of humor.
Yes.
To the point that you do these shows, you really dig deep into subjects that most of us know nothing about, or it's never occurred to us to know anything about these things. And yet, there was a time where all 5 of us are on Zoom looking at each other, and you are laughing so hard that your face is no longer even in the Zoom screen. All I see are your feet like poking up. You're like laughing so hard you're upside down.
Yeah, you're both for one and nothing reaction like suddenly it's been come back up and then so it's back up. Yes.
I really was, I have to say, I fell in love with you.
Yeah, I love any kind of silliness or awkwardness that we're there.
Yeah.
And that's why I was so inclined last night to meet the guy. As soon as I realised that Anthony's mom was going to yell at me if you went too long, I thought, well, I'm definitely going too long because I don't want to be yelled at.
For those who didn't see it, Anthony Anderson's mom was in the audience at the Emmys. You know, everybody's watching the football game, so they missed everything last night. And her job was to yell at people for going on too long.
One is a really great straw poll for the Academy there. No one in this audience wants the Emmy. I mean, nobody. It might have just been a live theatrical event.
It's getting there. It's headed in that direction. But you do always go until they tell you have to get off, right?
Yeah, because there's the best moment is the moment of awkwardness.
Yeah.
Because right? They're so polished. What you want is just a moment. If you talk too long, I don't know what I'm going to do with this speech. I do not really
One of the things you mentioned in the speech is that you thought him for, yes, you were going to go home, but you had to get home. How old are the kids? 5 and 8. 5 and 8 years old. Your mom was born.
Yeah, I left them yesterday when they were really sad. Just bring me back the fucking podcast. I would totally do that. I don't know anything again, but people can't say that like. And so I was only doing that. Well, here's a large group of people. Maybe someone else will know.
Did anyone give you any?
Yes, and going back at the governor's ball said, I have a phone podcast where you can pull a single car. Well, Adam's out the back of his phone
and said, "Here it is." Yeah, amazing. And I was so touched. I hugged him. And then he kind of disappeared into the crowd. And then he said, "Why doesn't Apple carry a single Pokemon card around?" And yes, I suspect he might one day be able to fulfill somebody's dream. Here, does this fill the hole in your life? Actually, it does, yes. Thank you very much.
You can't bring home one Pokemon card. That would be a problem for you, wouldn't it? I mean, you got 2 kids.
Yeah, so they need to get half a Pokemon.
We did get you some. I don't know how you're going to get this in the carry-on, but we got you some.
This is
ridiculous.
oh my God. You know what?
The Oprah show here.
They're gonna learn all the wrong lessons from this. And this is a fascinating glimpse into commercial TV. If you just say something into a camera, does it just materialize in front of you? It's an don't say how much I like the cookies that some people watches. I taught this my 5-year-old. I coupled the right watch. I presume someone backstage saying, "Well, here you go, kid."
You don't put that on the ground. I won't be offended at all. You start up again on February 18th.
Yes.
So does an election year make it more fun for you, or considering everything that's going on?
I think considering everything that's going on,
significantly.
And sometimes normally America likes to put on a real service of a show for a year, but we all know what these 2 men are. So it doesn't feel like it needs to take up every moment of the box in the American media over the next 11 months, but I'm sure it's going to.
And yet it will. Yeah.
Yes, it will.
Yeah. We can't help ourselves.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you ever take requests as far as the subject matter, the topics that you cover? Because I have a request.
Yeah.
If you would be so kind.
Sure.
I would love it if you could, and maybe wait till after the election. I might look into adult coloring books. You know what these are? Have you seen them?
What pot of gold do you think is at the end of that rainbow?
I don't, I'm not thinking about content from your standpoint. I just want them to be gone.
I see. So it's not. The story isn't whether they exist, it's how they can leave forever.
Yeah, they do exist. I want to know why, and I want to figure out how we can stop them. Not all books are a positive. You know what I'm saying? I think we've learned that. If anything, we've learned from Governor Sanders. It's that we do have to draw the line somewhere.
That's the Jimmy Kimmel guarantee. Not all books are a positive, kid. Your parents are lying to you.
You and one of our colleagues from Strike Force 5.
I'm so disappointed with myself for being surprised by that.
Seth Myers are doing, you guys are doing a monthly together every month.
We're doing a residency at the weekend, like Adele in Vegas.
Yeah, not back. You do it on a Sunday night, once a month. You'll take your show, you wait over there and do another show.
We should stand up together and it's very, very fun.
It's great to have you here. I appreciate you taking time to stay in the extra space. John Oliver, the last weekend I was on.
The white actors think literally everything else. So why would you give the world boiling weddings, a young lady of 3 royal babies, and of course, so much like this?
Today, we're not with a talent with the very staff who do it best to get in touch with the food on the streets.
Take that crazy rhythm. Oh, no. There's perhaps nothing more pathetic than the world's most famous adult son saying, "Dig that crazy rhythm," with what can only describe as big narc energy. The monarch is clearly in transition right now, following the death. Went on the 10 days on Sunday morning with a massive line of people queuing for hours to pay their respects. While some were devastated, others had more complicated feelings.
Tell me about the hair part, and then tell me about the milk.
Yeah, because you got funny. Our queen is a person who died like that.
I get that. I had a similar reaction when Big Johnny on the Peloton. I don't care if it was Thompson good enough to let me on his nose in front, but I do care a little because the Carrie cares. Look at her. There it is, last moments, devastated, doing absolutely nothing. But their ambivalence speaks to the fact that to a degree that Americans may not realise, the monarchy isn't a universal institution, and they will be very nice about it there. Others have been much less kind. Not luckily, we get many every event held a little side, but somehow, particularly Scotland and Ireland, went a different way, with this song proving particularly popular. Missing in the box, which I know is sounding sensitive, but I'm not in all the places they could have started to shoot in. Box is actually pretty generous. And look, you can make the case that that is in bad taste. You can also make the case that it's very funny. Two things can be true here. Even we got into trouble when Sky TV in the UK cut a couple of fairly benign jokes that we did the week she died. Who knows if this segment will even air on TV over there. In fact, just in case they refuse, we've actually prepared an alternative show for them, where this story is replaced with a 25-minute loop of this video of Winston Churchill going backwards down a water slide set to the Benny Hill theme. So they won't have anything to watch. But in the UK, the audio watch in the right in the King's Death, it just wasn't the time to criticism of her or the monarchy in general. It would be impolite. But we two months and Charles is king now. And while the legend that Charles' life was in her longevity, she was the only sovereign most Britain's had ever known, and her tendency towards silence, you never really knew what he thought about anything. Neither of those things are true of her son. Because Charles, a man whose face answers the question, what if two cousins have a kid, is taking a throne at a ripe age of 73. He has wildly and incredibly levy divorce. And he has children on a range of topics from architecture, environment, to his own family legacy, including supporting controversial candidates of certain countries today, coffee elements, and wage injection of prices. The point is, he doesn't have to be intellectual on the subject. All he will take over a topic election, and his ascension to the throne comes to the UK's facing a cost of living crisis. One man who is confronted Charles directly about this. Wow, that's the Donald O from him. Pretty much second warfare, but that wasn't the only process. So this week, a man moved off to again at Charles on the street. And when they caught him, the interesting about the story is that this was the photo from his arrest. He was released on bail with conditions including, and this is true, not being allowed to be in 500 meters of the king, and not being allowed to present any case in a public space. But really so, just how far the power of the monarchy has fallen. A few hundred years ago, it would have been instant beheading. Now the punishment is be careful in the refrigerated aisle. So given that Charles is now king and will actually have a formal coronation next May to be beaten by cameras all around the world, before all that happens, we thought tonight it might be worth looking at the British monarchy, specifically what the point of it is. First in the UK, and then in the countries around the world, where it actually serves as a beginning. So let's start with the very basic question of just the royal family. It's actually a two-layer control historically in the past, and this was a possibility for 1958 demonstrates. What is your job, the royal family? I've got something so fine. I'll tell you what else is some clear idea of what the royal fulfill in office. Answer. Wow! It's honestly kind of amazing watching the history laugh that off before considering the question and then facing something of an existential crisis. But since that question seems to come to the actual answer, I'm going to give you where the head government and the head of state are the same person. In the UK, those are two very different topics. The first century, the British monarch had in fact, stripped away now rather than the top. The monarchy is only got as head of state, which is incoming and outgoing ambassadors and visiting heads of state and to make visits abroad. With former President President Trump. Just two people delighted to be there. You know, you don't usually see a pair so unhappy while very close to home. You don't find a cat on Halloween. Oh, but more also, this is true, sending people birthday cards when they turn 100. Basically, think of the world as Mickey and Minnie at Disneyland. They're not running the rides, but they're on that shop for the whole operation when people come like having their pictures taken. And the Royal Family's pretend to say that tell us only aspect of the box. He's winning the whole box. So the Royal Family's a people breakfast. It's like the whole whole stock and it's totally all that identity. It gives pride and then it gives a sense of stability and continuity. But that comes at a price. As you heard that man say on earlier, millions of pounds every year to support people promoting the market. That's the money well spent.
Gives the royal family £100 million per year roughly. It's called the sovereign grant to pay for upkeep. But tourism generated by the royal family generates about £500 million a year. So that's 5 to 1. I would say that's about 2%.
But one of the things is that whatever money all that cost is vastly outweighs on what they bring in. In fact, they are for thousands of men have made their wives about investing in crypto. And it's going really well for them right now. But a few things about that being $500 million a year in tourism is heavily disputed. And it is not like that goes away if the royal family does. You can still visit a palace if nobody lives inside. No one shows up to Versailles and says, wait, no one lives here? It's a hard pass from me. And the notion that the monarchy only costs £100 million also has because while it is true that, as is often said, the sovereign grant amounts to just over £1 a person in the UK, it's by no means the royals' only source of income.
The king now has three main sources of wealth. The sovereign treasury gives the crown to fulfil its royal duties. The family's private wealth, the full extent, a closely guarded secret. Then, the Duchy of Lancaster, a estate of land, property and assets. The monarch receives its annual profits. The Queen received $27 million from it last year.
It's true, the Duchy of Lancaster is a massive property portfolio containing land that incidentally was seized by the monarchy back in the 13th century and from which they continue to draw personal profits to this day. So as king, Charles gets money from the government, money passed down through his family, and money from the Duchy of Lancaster, and none of that includes the Duchy of Cornwall, held by whoever holds the title of Prince of Wales. It used to be Charles, now it's Prince William. That is a separate billion-dollar real estate, nearly the size of Chicago, by the way, which includes seaside vacation rentals, office space in London, and a suburban supermarket depot. That alone brought in $26 million in additional income for the family last year. So the royal family's wealth, unlike their gene pool, is massive. And while in 1993, in response to public anger over their spending, both the Queen and Charles agreed to pay voluntary income taxes. That arrangement isn't necessarily permanent. Meanwhile, the two duchies are completely exempt from corporation taxes, and Charles doesn't have to pay any inheritance tax on whatever the Queen passed on to him. And when you factor all of that in, it sure starts to feel like they're costing a hell of a lot more than just £1 per person. So, is it worth it? Well, people can disagree. I think my position on the royal family is pretty well documented to me. They're like a human appendix with long evolved parts needing them, and there's a compelling case for their surgical removal. But I admit, I am in the minority when it comes to British people. Many feel exactly like this woman does.
I just think it's nice that we have it, and it makes us a bit unusual, unique. Yeah, I mean, it's nice that we have it. It's a British thing, isn't it? And I think a lot of people would like what we have.
Okay, but it's nice that we have it. It's what you say about a freeloading multi-millionaire family exempt from paying most taxes. It's what you say about a water dispenser in your fridge. As for being a British thing, that's not a great justification either. You know what else is a British thing? Mushy piggies. If you've never had the pleasure, imagine emotionally unavailable guacamole. They're like if mashed potatoes killed themselves. But the fact is, 7% of people in the UK feel that the monarchy should remain. So it does seem secure there. But that brings us to the second part of this story, because abroad, their role is a much more open question. Charles, as king, is now head of the Commonwealth of Nations, a loose alliance, largely composed of former British colonies. 14 of them still have the British monarch as their titular head of state, in spite of being self-ruling nations. These are those countries. And debates have been raging for a while in many of them about what the crown represents. As we mentioned back in March, William and Kate had to cancel the first stop on their royal tour through the Caribbean due to overwhelming local protests. And in Australia, in the wake of the Queen's death, the Women's Aussie Rules Football League held a moment of silence for her, but given that they were, by sheer coincidence, in the midst of a 10-day tribute to Indigenous players, they opted not to do that for the rest of the morning period, prompting this man to freak out.
What a disgrace, seriously. I mean, that any sporting organisation in the country would think there is any reason not to honour the Queen is a joke. And why can't they have a minute's silence in Indigenous Week anyway? I mean, Indigenous people are Australian people. They were subjects of Her Majesty the Queen, and you can have your arguments about colonialism or whatever, but the Queen in this country and for the world was a force for good.
What? You can't just gloss over the entire history of colonialism there. It's like saying, have all the arguments about murder or whatever, but at the end of the day, Charles Manson was a family man. And then let's talk about that history, starting in Australia, where Indigenous people suffered greatly under colonialism. We searched and found evidence for conservatively nearly 200 massacres of Aboriginal people at the hands of British military and colonial police, and hundreds more by colonists. And when the Queen herself visited Australia in 1954, First Nations people were not counted as part of the population, and children were still being forcibly removed from their families to be assimilated into white households. So have your arguments about colonialism or whatever is very much what we should be doing. Glossing over it and forcing people to mourn a symbol of a painful past. And that's just Australia. If you really want to talk about colonialism or whatever, or litigate the extent to which the Queen or the monarchy in general has been a global force for good, do that. And let's start with the full extent to which the monarchy was intricately involved in the transatlantic slave trade.
After Britain invaded Jamaica in 1655, the Royal African Company was set up by Royal Charter under King Charles II. The RAC went on to transport more enslaved Africans to the Americas than any other single institution ever, lining the pockets of the Stuart monarchs. Many of those trafficked were branded with the initials D.
That's true. You've got a direct ancestors of the late royal family were invested in the Royal African Company and had their initial branded into people's skin. And when the trade on the slave people and the tobacco went to enriching British trade empire, and by extension, with its royal office like UK, it should be held personally responsible for whatever their ancestors did, but it's trying to talk about the British role in the slave trade without talking about the monarchy. Someone trying to talk about Jeffrey Epstein without talking about the monarchy. They are inextricably linked. However uncomfortable they might find that fact. Yet despite all of that, no one in the royal family has ever apologised at the moment. Instead, they all talk about the topic of like Prince William saying slavery was an origin, or Prince Charles Johnson Garner saying this.
The appalling atrocities of the slave trade and the unimaginable suffering it caused left an indelible stain on the history of our world. While Britain can be proud that it later led the way in the abolition of this shameful trade, we have shared a responsibility. We have a shared responsibility to ensure that the abject horror of slavery is never forgotten.
But listen to that. You can't even mention how awful the slave trade was without in the same breath mentioning that Britain led the way in abolishing. British people love to talk about their role in abolition. But Charles left out a lot there, including that one, yes, the British did abolish slave trade in 1870. It allowed plantation slavery to exist in colonies for decades after the full abolition. It didn't follow for another generation, but the large point you can't have this on slave. You don't need to take the credit without taking the blame for what they're up to. If someone intentionally set fire to a quiz host, then hours later put that fire out, they wouldn't get to post a picture of themselves holding a host. So, I disagree. That's not the full story, is it? Also, for what it's worth, the effect of slavery clearly isn't just in the cost. The education in a very literal sense is incredibly
had a loan of £20 million, but not to compensate enslaved people. Instead, it went to enslavers who wanted compensation for the loss of income from their property. It's clear next people held about 70% money up until 2016. The British state will still pay off the debt. Maybe not like this the first time, but a few years ago, the British Treasury tweeted, "Here's today's surprising hashtag Friday fact. Millions of you helped end the slave trade through your taxes. I'm sorry, but I'm just not a good Friday fact." The average person farts between 10 to 20 times per day. That is pretty good. Fish can cough. Now we're talking. Surprise, I know times are tough, but you just have to pay off the family of dead enslavers. No, absolutely fucking not. Say that shit for Monday, you bastard. And for anyone thinking, well, that didn't happen on the watch of the modern monarchy, it is worth knowing some of the most brutal atrocities carried out by the British actually happened in the first 8 years of Elizabeth's reign and when Charles was alive. Between the 1950s, while Kenya was still a British colony, an armed rebellion was launched by the Kikuyu people, who lost land to white settlers and found themselves locked into a formal racial hierarchy that placed Europeans on top, the Africans at the bottom. The British sent army reinforcements to put down the so-called Mau Mau uprising, describing the situation to the world back then like this.
Agitators urge Saudi Africans to flee their country on the white man. There is little reliable information about the setup of the terrorist organization, for few members even know from whom they take their orders. They obey blindly, savagely attacking the defenseless, burning, looting, murdering. Kenya is the battlefield of a conflict that cannot end until the Mau Mau is dissolved forever.
Oh, righty-ho. The trouble in Kenya comes not from the British who took over the still land, but from the people's land was stolen. Now, is there more to this story? Surely, but will you hear it coming from a voice that sounds like this? I say never! Never, I say! In crushing the uprising, the British instituted a system of detention camps, and 90,000 Kenyans were executed, tortured, or murdered during the crackdown, and an estimated 160,000 were detained in appalling conditions. For a long time, the British made outcry over this with a mixture of denial and defensiveness. In fact, just watch this interview with a former British colonial officer who'd been responsible.
Hi, it's Dr. Fox. In this video, I want to talk about narcissistic mothers. And I know that this can be a sensitive topic for a lot of individuals, but I think that it's important that we go over it and go over these various behaviors, tactics, and the impact that it may have had on you is really important. And I know that a lot of times, narcissistic mothers often wonder, am I doing is this something that I'm engaging in, or how it impacts your relationship? We're going to talk about that in this video, absolutely. So, hang out with me, let's unpack it, and let's get into it, and like, share, and subscribe, and comment, and here we go. So, common narcissistic mother behaviors and tactics. Now, these include a lack of empathy, and they don't care or feel indifferent to pain and suffering of their child. It just doesn't move them. They don't seem to have this discomfort while seeing their child suffer, particularly if that child's suffering validates some of mother, then the mother absolutely just doesn't have any empathy and they don't really connect with it in any way, shape, or form. And they also have this constant need for admiration. So you have to be sure to praise, thank every chance you get. And any success that you have to attribute it to her and her treatment of you and how she influenced your perspective and your view and all of these different factors. So you have to constantly give that admiration and praise. Oh, it's because of you I did this. You know, thanks, Mom. Because of you I was able to do that, this and that. Belittle or manipulate her children. This is, everybody fails and struggles. Right? So it's because of your personal imperfections and issues that all of us have. Those are seen as character flaws. They're not related to her. They're related to you. So you have that psychological distance from any problems or issues, which all of us have as we're developing. That's your character flaw. This is just like your father. This is why you can't do that. Or this is why you're not successful. This is why that person broke up with you. Whatever it is. And they take this opportunity again to belittle you or even manipulate you. They do that also because it's this narcissistic process where they think that if I make you feel broken enough, or and that means that I'm smart enough to recognize it, and you should see that I have the right answer, right? Now, there's also a high tendency to neglect your needs, right, as you're growing up, and then you sort of internalize the sense that your needs are secondary. Just not that important because her needs are primary. And she doesn't communicate her needs. You're supposed to sense them. You're supposed to, as they change, you're supposed to read them and over time. Now, a lot of children of narcissistic parents are able to sort of sense that and pick that up because there's this constant vigilance that if I'm not constantly aware of your needs and all these other factors, then everything will just fall apart. Then I'm a huge failure. Equates to my sense of self-esteem. And a lot of narcissists have this internal sense of fear, shame, doubt, inferiority. So it's always changing. So it's so fickle. So you're always so hard to do that. And you feel this constant pressure to always be reading her and her environment to make sure that she's okay. Even though your needs have been neglected and you've learned over time to allow your needs to be secondary. Narcissistic mothers are also overly controlling and critical. You know, you never do things right. And if they did work out, it's not because you did it. It's because you got lucky.
I knew that fucking.
Because shaming you, again, it goes back to see how smart I am and how great I am, that I'm powerful enough to shame you. But it's also that you didn't follow her directions 100%. Had you done exactly what I told you to do, and they don't, by the way, they tell you only pieces, very broken, cryptic pieces typically, so you have to put them together, because if they told you exactly what to do, then that's to their sense of responsibility, so they never do that. So then you have to put this puzzle together about what has to be done, and then if it works out, that's what she told you to do. If it doesn't, that's because you're broken and you're a failure. And another common control tactic that a lot of narcissistic mothers use is guilt or conditional love to maintain that control. So if you don't do this, she won't talk to you again. Silent treatment is often a very common punitive measure that they engage in. Now, if you don't give her enough of A, B, or C, she'll again go back into the silent treatment, or she'll enlist others to see that broken, this horrible kid, or whatever it may be. And then now you have a crowd or a group of individuals like, yeah, Billy or Barbara should have done such and such, such and such. I can't believe she didn't do that, even though that's not the whole story, right? Because the story has been largely skewed so that she looks safe. She wasn't a part of the failure or the error or whatever it was, but you look like you're the number one 100% cause of it. It's like, oh my God. And it's this constant pressure that a lot of these sons and daughters of narcissistic mothers experience and they internalize. And it really builds into their sense of self, their concept self. And this leads to this wonderment a lot of times that these kids start to wonder, so I'm lacking in love, so then when I face rejection, and all of us face rejection, but for these particular individuals, when you face rejection, it's because you are not good enough. It's because you've been rejected, because of the level of failure that you are. And it becomes this internalized pattern and belief that adds to behaviors that continue to cause problems and difficulties in your life. And I think to really have a good perspective, we gotta look at, okay, so how do narcissistic mothers and the relationship that you have with her, how does it impact
clever, cunning,
and who you are? So if you are unaware of these tactics and issues, so you have likely internalized many of these expectations, and you likely play them out in close and romantic relationships over and over and over again. And the way these can manifest is you don't stick up for yourself. You blame yourself first without assessing the situation objectively. You intensely desire connection, but there's never enough connection. So you don't feel truly close to someone. There's always that distance. I don't give a shit how big you are. Can I really count on this? Because you were taught over time that any real connection isn't really connection at all, and that you're used to and comfortable with. And comfortable doesn't mean good, it just means what you're used to. Yeah. So that comfortable connection is really one that isn't really healthy. It's not really adaptive. It tends to be maladaptive. It wears away at your own sense of self. And individuals with narcissistic mothers also develop this intense codependency. It's this need to be needed. That's the definition of codependency. It's the need to be needed. So I constantly need to be needed to validate who I am, where I am, and what I'm doing.
And why can't I just
these codependent relationships, they play out over and over and over again. So you don't decide the pace of your relationship. Your partner does. You don't decide if there's success or failure in your relationship. Your partner does, because you need that. And that sense of validation, external validation from that person, validation that everything is okay. There's always that voice, and I call it with my clients family in the head. I got that from Laura Smith Benjamin. She's a wonderful, amazing researcher into personality disorders. And she talks about this family in the head, right? So we internalize mom, so it's mom's voice telling us how we're never good enough, how we'll never get there, and you'll never truly be loved because you're broken and defective. And that's one of those ways. Another is that you have this deep-seated depression, but it has this unclear origin, like you're not really sure how it got here, but I've always had it, I've always felt this way. So I've always felt second, I've never felt important. And this concept of joy is often one that is so distant and almost inconceivable. But that sadness, you feel it, and you feel it like inside. It's like this intensive sorrow, this repetitive and ongoing sense of sorrow that was actually put in there and nurtured by all of those narcissistic tactics, behaviors, belittling, shaming, so on and so forth, that you experienced by that narcissistic parent, that narcissistic mother. And you have this intense self-doubt about your ability to make decisions and to trust in yourself. And that goes to what I talked about, that codependency, always looking to someone else, to get this connection with someone else, to validate who you are. It's never enough validation, or it's not a trusted validation, so you're constantly wondering, worrying, and feeling unbalanced in your relationship. And it does cause a lot of questioning about self, others, relationships, and it may not just be romantic relationships. It can also be in parental relationships as well. Now, if you have a narcissistic mother, we're going through this, I have that. Well, how do you deal with that narcissistic mother? I think the first step, you have to radically accept who she is. Now, I didn't say what, but who she is. And we have to challenge this internalized idea of the mother you want, or you even may need, and see the mother you have. And this can be really hard, right? All of us have this idea of good mother, this caring, compassionate person who's going to help us, nurture us, and care for us. And what I see in a lot of my clients that have narcissistic mothers or parents, that they're always trying to reach that level. And what the really sophisticated narcissistic parents have done, they've created this really ill-defined, nebulous bar for you to reach. But you can't quite get there because it's not quite defined, so you're always kind of like, yeah, I guess. I mean, I think so. If I do this, this is good,
No,
but then
it
you
can't
love me
work
with this, but then why isn't she like this?
That's the
And you
first one.
internalize that, and it creates a lot of internal confusion, a lot of self-doubt. And that's why we have to radically accept who she is. It doesn't mean you don't love her. It means that you recognize
She'll always
who
choose
she
somebody
is
else over
and
me.
what her tactics are. And I think that that creates an ability for you to set boundaries. And you have to create and maintain those healthy boundaries. You don't deserve to be shamed. You don't deserve to be belittled. And you don't deserve to be manipulated. And I think that you have to have those boundaries in place. Arguing with her is not going to do it. You're not going to argue with her enough that she's suddenly going to be like, wait a minute,
No.
I need to be this object or idea of good mother. Because that's just not going to happen.
Yeah, no,
So
she is a good
just
mother.
again have to radically accept who they are. Set those good boundaries.
They didn't
Also,
hit me.
you gotta stay calm.
They didn't call me names.
That's a tough one, and I know that that's a tough one. You gotta
No,
try
right.
not to react emotionally to what she said, even if it's an insult.
Usually.
You keep your cool, because when you lose your cool, then she turns it on you, right? See how disrespectful you are to your mother. See how terrible you are to your mother. And I've recently been rewatching The Sopranos, and Tony Soprano's mother is this narcissistic mother, absolutely through and through. It's a really good example of all of these tactics and manipulations, and dangling of love to try to get them to pull closer. But then, whenever they make a mistake or there's an error, she actually laughs when Tony falls at one point, or all these different factors. And just about how corrosive she is to Tony and his sisters and their sense of self, that they just wear away at them. But underneath, they're aspiring for this love and connection. Part of them, I think, believes that they'll never actually get it. And lastly, it's good to plan your responses, right? So you've been with your mom long enough. You have a good idea of what she's like. You hopefully see her tactics, and if not, just sit back and pay attention. You'll learn a lot from her. And by maintaining your cool and trying to be objective, you'll learn more about manipulation tactics. You'll learn more about the shaming procedures. You'll learn more about the belittling that she engages in. And just remember that have a respectful exit strategy when the conversation goes off the rails. What are you going to say? So things start to go south and say, I think we're done for today. Or thanks, Mom, I'm going to have to catch up with you later. Take care. Bye. Because remember, you're not going to argue the narcissism of power. You're not going to argue with her where she starts to take responsibility and do things differently. Now, is there a chance of that? Absolutely. There are no absolutes in the world. Is there a chance that something happens, she finally realizes that, oh man, I've been this narcissistic mother, I need to change? Sure. I can tell you in over 2 decades of working with individuals who have been parents, partners, so on and so forth, of narcissistic mothers or partners, things like that. We haven't really hit that level. Now, I've had who were narcissists or who were along the narcissistic spectrum who came to me in treatment and they said, I think I'm a narcissist. What can I do about it? And a lot of times they didn't have these ingrained traits, these ingrained aspects or manipulative behaviors that were so almost habitual. They just fell into these strategies and behaviors. Instead, something happened. Usually it was them. A lot of times it's been a health scare where they realize, wow, I had this health scare.
A lot of times, someone who's narcissistic, they can't even hear this.
Seems to care.
Listening to this,
Why
they're
that is,
getting
we start to
disturbed.
unpack these things.
They get very tired.
What's called a narcissistic wound, but certainly a health scare can be that. No one comes to look after them. That can be that narcissistic wound. Or something else in business or in their own love life or something like that. And then they may decide to change it. You're not going to make them change. You're not going to be able to make someone else change. You have to recognize who they are, keep your cool, understand what their behaviors are, and have that planned response that if things start to go off the rails, say, I appreciate that. I think I'm going to step out for today. And she may egg you on to engage because that may be what she's looking for. But maintain your own sense of emotion, your own sense of power and control. And that will help you see things clearly and manage things better. And I know sometimes it's going to hurt because, the relationship with our parents, we want it to be this particular idea. We may not have it. And they're people too, and we have to accept who they are. That's hard to do. I appreciate your time and attention. I hope this was helpful. And please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye. Hi, my name is Dr. Fox, I'm a licensed psychologist in the state of Texas, and an expert in the area of personality disorders. And in this video, we're going to talk about children of narcissistic parents. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through 16 common narcissistic parenting components. Okay, so this is how they tend to treat kids. Then we're going to talk about what happens to these kids. How do they grow and develop themselves in their world, and what are some things in treatment that I focus on when I work with folks that are kids with narcissistic parents. So let's get into it. Please like, share, and subscribe. That would be awesome. Please, if any comments that you may have, if you have a narcissistic parent, how do you cope effectively? I think it's important that we put out positive information out there that's really good for those who read it. I think that helps them quite a bit. And that's really what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to create a very positive environment for folks that do have parents, significant others, even themselves, or borderline or other personality disorder traits or the full disorder. But this one, we're going to talk about children of narcissistic parents, and let's get into it. Okay, so the 16 common narcissistic parenting components. So the first one is that you tend to only do things he or she wanted to do regardless if you wanted to or not. So that means that no matter what, you are going to do what that person wants to do. It could be going to the movies. Maybe your parents are separated and your narcissistic parent had to go to the office. So you sit there all day, but they're getting their needs met. They don't worry about what you want to do, what your interest is. So they just drag you to without any thought as to how it may impact you, your day, or your interest. Now, he or she, that narcissistic parent, was not present very often and seemed to get gratification away from the family. So in other words, they go do things outside of that family structure and they get their needs met. And then they're happy. And then they come into the family, it's like, oh, all this work and all this negativity. And you get this internalized building sense of a burden, of being a burden. Okay? Now we'll get more to that in just a second. What you did, another component, the third, right? No matter what you did, you were never able to impress or please him or her. You're always one down. So no matter if you got an A, right? Maybe the test before, you got a B+. So it's not the A that you got, it's the B+ that you got last time that's brought up to you, right? If you get an A in history, right? Say as you're growing up, so you get an A in history or a 99 in history, and you get a 91 in science. So you're like, oh, look, I got A's. Well, it's not really an A. I mean, you got a 99 in one class and the 91 in another. I mean, you're not even consistent. It's like, oh, man. I mean, so you internalized sense of self-doubt that comes out of that. How things looked or appeared were more important than your feelings, right? So you may not want to wear a particular dress or a particular outfit or anything else. So you're very uncomfortable. It doesn't matter. You have to present as pageant pretty. You have to present as picture perfect. You have to present as happy, as stable, because that is a direct reflection of that narcissistic parent. Now you tended to have the greatest value when she or he could brag about your accomplishments or complain about your failures. So you become sort of a chess piece, right? You become this externalized component or object that allows that narcissistic parent to then have attention put on them. That attention is that, Jimmy is such a failure. Sally, the national spelling bee, right? So, or, Malcolm, he tried out for the football team, but he didn't even make the cut. What's that kid ever going to be, right? Then it gives this narcissistic parent that fodder to have attention brought to them about the failures of the kids or the successes. So what does that do for that kid? Not only is that kid feels very empty and distant inside. These are all things that carries with them. That sense of burdenness, that sense of lack of connection, right? That sense of detachment that they carry with them as they develop. So that another one is that he he or she tended to show that he or she cared through material gifts as opposed to attention or words of encouragement and love. So anything, right? And I love you. I bought the latest iPad. Right? Oh, you have this phone and you have this thing and you have that thing. And he's like, see, I love you by those things. That's what those narcissistic parents do, right? So that when the child, right, grows up and then they hit their teens, right, when we all kind of start to push back a little bit, assert our autonomy, test those boundaries, right? But that narcissistic parent can't handle that even one sense of, and then they quickly crush you, make you feel very little, make you feel like that burden, make you feel like detachment, that you're worthy of detachment. Then they do it. Say, I got you an Xbox and a PlayStation and an iPad and all this other stuff. But what that does is it confuses the child, because what the child wants is emotional connection. An iPad, an iPhone, or a Android phone, right? But whatever it is, but it's not to the parental figure that they want, who should be designed to keep them safe, to help them feel secure about themselves, to build this sense of self-concept through trials and tribulations and successes as we develop. That's not how narcissistic parents work. So the next one is jealousy of your achievements, opportunities, or looks. That prompted criticism and ridicule. Now, often you see this in same-sex parent-child. Okay, so mom, narcissistic mom, may be very jealous of a very attractive narcissistic or daughter, not narcissistic daughter, that's not what I meant, right? The narcissistic mom, right, to the daughter. So we're going to get in what happens. Does narcissism breed narcissism? I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But what I'm talking about is that narcissistic parent, right? Maybe she sees herself as very attractive, she's a fitness nut, right? All that other stuff. And then here comes this daughter who's younger, right? Maybe she's in gymnastics, I don't know, but she's really attractive, right? Others see her as attractive. Maybe her friends say, oh, your daughter is so pretty, your daughter's so pretty. That jealousy and insecurity breeds this contempt for that kid. Now remember, the core content of most narcissists is guilt, shame, doubt, fear, and inferiority. And all of that gets triggered up. So what do? You put it on this safe object, which is this kid who can't defend themselves. So then you ridicule and shame that kid, right? Who then already feels like a burden, already has this sense of detachment, and now they're shamed, so they get this internalized sense of shame as they develop. So another component or characteristic is that he or she tended to see the parent, as very important and influential, and was entitled to the best, even the best children. So I did this for you, and I made this for you, and what do? You get a C in science. Or I did this for you, and I took you to all these games, and you should be getting a home run every time you go up to play. Nobody gets a home run every time you go up to play, just saying, so you know, right? Conceptualization. I did all this for you, and this is how you pay. This is how you show me that you love me, all this stuff. And that kid's head is spinning. Confusion becomes an additional component as well, right? Burden, detached, right? Shame, right? And then you have this sense of confusion. I'm confused with who I am, what I should believe, and what my development is. So it's great confusion, because parents are supposed to be that rock that you kind of bounce up against, right? About what's right or wrong in the world, how I should see myself. We want to internalize, we want to develop this introject of a positive sense of self, a positive individual. That's not what narcissistic parents do, because narcissism is a maladaptive pattern. All personality disorders are a maladaptive pattern that the person has developed over years. So what happens is that maladaptive pattern spills into the child, but not necessarily narcissism. We're going to talk about that in just a second. I want to finish the list of 16. Okay, so the next one is that he or she and manipulate others when it's suited him or her. You see that these parents are manipulative. You see that they get what they want by being underhanded, by lying, like cheating, right? By doing things that are inappropriate. So then you develop the conceptualization. The child develops the conceptualization. So, oh, that's how the world works. Cheat, steal, lie, right? Because internally, what happened is that child is developing what? That core content. Fear, shame, doubt, emptiness, abandonment, right? Other types of issues. Notice, right? When we talked about the kid, some of that core content is a little different, right?
we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, so then they start to develop this, right? But you learn these behavioral patterns and strategies that are so destructive, and you learn that from the narcissistic parents. Another one is that others seem to like being around him or her, which is the parent, right? And he or she, right, sought out the spotlight, even if it meant demeaning his or her children. Okay, so other people like to be around you. So, but that spotlight, the way I can get that spotlight, if you recognize, seeing perhaps admiration or sympathy, they feed on sympathy as well, is that the way that they get that is that they demean the kid. See how horrible my kid is, right? See how terrible my kid is. See how broken my kid is. And they use this to pull attention, because it doesn't matter, how it hurts the kid. What happens is that it's important that it feeds the narcissism of the parent. And that, of course, becomes habitual and over again, which becomes internalized with those components that we had already discussed. So another one is he or she is highly sensitive to negative feedback or criticism, and he or she would kick people out of his or her life who provided it. Which means that as you get older, right, now you're in the teen years and you start pushing back a little bit, because that's normal to do that. But your narcissistic parent doesn't tolerate any dissension whatsoever. You have to adopt those rules, values, but they're all vague and inconsistent anyway, so you never really know what you can count on. So that goes to that inconsistency in your life, which goes on top of being confused, it goes on top of being a burden, right, which goes on top of having this detached sense. Okay, so as you're developing and you give some feedback, well, how about if you love me? That, of course, brings you back to what bought you an iPad and an iBox and what is it? Xbox. I don't know, you know what I mean, right? But it did this, right? So any dissension is just massive payment. And I'm not going to talk to you. We're not talking anymore because you criticized me, right? And then that parent quickly internalizes that and says, fine, we're not talking ever again. And then you as the child, because you have attachment, like I believe that we are biologically designed and wired to attach to our early caregivers, right? A lot of research that supports that. John Bowlby, the father of attachment, you can look him up. So you can tons of stuff on that. But that we are inherently wired, right? So are all animals on this planet, right? That we are inherently to connect to those caregivers to keep us safe. But if they're maladaptive caregiver, it doesn't matter. You still have that sense of attachment. So regardless of the age, whether it's teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever it is that you want to attach, so that narcissistic parent, they then reject you. That hurts, So then it brings up all of these early issues, right, that we talk about, right? Being a burden, right? Then all those other things that we just mentioned, burden, attached, confusion, right? Uncertainty. Now you've learned, don't be assertive. Now you've learned, be passive. You could even be passive aggressive in some instances, but you're more likely to be passive and internalize the hurt and pain than you are to be passive aggressive, even though you've learned manipulation from that parent. Now next, when angry, that narcissistic parent showed rage and poor constraint, including anger that was verbal, physical, or even both. So here, what you learn is don't upset that narcissistic parent, because if you do, they lose it and they get violent, they get loud, they go over the top, because what they have to do is they have to quickly, because they're not sure of themselves, they're not confident, so not confident means you don't have any patience. So then what happens is they don't turn down that volume, they ramp it up, and they ramp it up in such a way that you recoil, which adds to that sense of passivity as that child grows up and develops. So the next one is that he or she will feel threatened, that narcissistic parent feel threatened when you expressed yourself in an appropriate manner, right? Even when you used I statements and you said, I was really hurt when I heard still that parent is going to go as if you were massively inappropriate, because remember, that parent has to turn it up because they're very insecure, right? That poor content, right? Fear, shame, doubt, insecurity, inferiority, and all of those things. So they have to turn it up, be loud, be aggressive, so that you quickly pull back because they're very afraid, is the reality of it. Next one is that he or she had fantasies of success and his or her own achievements that were highly ambitious, but when they did not work out, it was someone else's fault. So is that there's no sense of responsibility. So that your parent doesn't recognize that. They don't take on the R word responsibility in their life. So they always deflect it. So you learn to deflect it, but you're very confused because as you grow and develop, you don't see yourself as efficacious. So the world will dictate how you behave and how you respond. And
you are likely, that child is a narcissist, is likely to gravitate towards negative because, of course, negative is easier than positive unless you're fortunate and you can get into a positive social group, right, that encourages self-esteem, that encourages growth. Not a lot of those around, but let's say, right, typically you go to the negativity, and then when you grow to that, that reinforces all this sense of burdenness, all this sense of being detached, all this sense of loss and confusion and all of these things. So you go back to that. So because that narcissistic parents, those unrealized moments of success that they didn't reach, probably because they didn't genuinely try, because they blame everybody else for holding them back. So they didn't genuinely try. If they did try, it was a half-hearted try, and then they got some type of negative feedback, or what you perceived to be negative feedback, so they just were like, no, they never gave me a chance. But they didn't try. The one thing we know about success, whether it's in therapy or it's in life, is perseverance pays off. Perseverance pays off. Totally. So the next one is that, because we got two left, okay, that he or she, right, was highly critical of others, and he or she was the one who knew the true fix for any given situation. So they come across as having all these answers. Well, I know everything, but they may not tell you. Oh, because you work hard enough for it, and whatever that hard work may be, who knows, right? Now, if you're doing calculus and your narcissistic parent doesn't know calculus, then they're going to degrade the sense of calculus. But very critical, right, of your calculus teacher, who's probably an idiot. I'm not saying they are. That's what the narcissistic parent would say. Okay, but they know how to fix all of this. So sometimes what happens is that internal drive to attack our caregivers. So the child says, okay, look, so what I'm going to do is the way I can be functional here and survive in this environment is to propaganda, believe the narcissistic parent propaganda. And so what happens is you believe this narcissistic parent has all the answers, right? If it's the attractive mom or attractive dad who competes with the son and the daughter, right? Whatever it is, then you start to say, oh, he or she gets a lot of attention, or he or she, makes all this money, or he or she, whatever. And then you believe that, you internalize that, you eat the propaganda. And as you eat the propaganda, you engage in these behaviors that support it over time. So, oh yeah, my mom or dad have all the answers, right? So on and so forth. And you tend to believe that. But holding these folks on a pedestal only lasts so long, because what happens is that, in our teens, we kind of start to realize, hey, you know what, our parents don't have all the answers. And then in our 20s, we start to realize, you know what, nobody does. Hopefully in our 20s, we figure that out. And then that gives us a little humility and a little drive to do things differently and see our life and take that R word, that responsibility, and really affect change in our life. Get that R word. And then the last thing is the relationship with a narcissistic parent is more like a friendship than it is parental. And the one thing, when I encounter stuff like this, I like to tell folks, your kids have more than enough friends, but they're only going to have one or two caregivers or parents. Now, it depends. I do know some folks that have extended family, and I think that's great. The more support that you have, even better. Mm-hmm. Narcissistic parents tend to limit that contact that child has. They tend to limit. That social circle tends to be very small, because the more folks that are in there, the greater the risk of being found out that you're not that great, greater risk of being called out, right? All these other things that activate that core content. What do you do, right? So when I'm working with someone who is a child of a narcissistic parent, what do we do? First and foremost, narcissism does not breed narcissism. Narcissism, right, we know is a maladaptive coping strategy, okay, to put it simply. And then what happens is that you have these kids, right, as we've talked about, and we're going to call just my clients kids for a minute, right, because I don't work with kids, but as adults, right, but you're still working with that kid inside. You're working with that internalized, that introject inside that kid. So that still, feels like a burden, that feels like they have no voice, who feels detached, who feels misunderstood, who doesn't know what they believe. And what you see, and in my opinion, is you see a lot of borderline personality disorder traits. Does not mean that narcissistic parents breed borderline children or children with borderline personality disorder. I'm not saying that. What happens is that you see this, I see this in my work, is that you see a lot of kids with borderline personality disorder traits. The good thing about that is that borderline traits often drive folks to treatment, and that's good, right? Because narcissists don't like therapy, but borderline folks
folks that are along that borderline spectrum like therapy. They're actually treatment accepting in many cases. So if I can get you in, what we can do is we can start to rebuild, right, that introject. We can work on that hurt that's in there. We work on self. We work on how you see yourself, taking risk, and we shut down this noise in your head, those internal critics, plural. I gotta stress that aspect there, critics, because it's not just one, it's mom. But then over time, as you developed, that you internalize these negatives, because that reinforced, just kept beating it into your head about your negativity, burdenness, about your detachment, right? If you would have loved your parent enough, you would be a good person, but you didn't. So you're broken. Whoa. That is narcissistic parent 101. Secondly, that's malarkey. That is not at all true, because what happens is that narcissistic parent, because of their own issues, they're never going to feel enough love, acceptance, appreciation, or anything like that, because that narcissism, that maladaptive strategy to function, is so strong that they don't allow themselves to genuinely love and care for another, because what happens is there's a risk in loving and caring for others, right? Not all relationships work, but that narcissistic parent can't handle that. They can't function with that because they're too driven by their core content, which is fear, shame, doubt, guilt, and fear. So they create children with this internalized sense of fear, shame, doubt, inferiority, but also abandonment, also emptiness, also low self-concept, low sense of self, all these other factors that we work on in treatment to build them. So what I would say is challenge this idea, grab onto that sense, write out the things that you want to do. Don't worry, take those critics out of your head for a minute and say, here are the things that I want to achieve. These are the things that I want to do. So first, what do you want to achieve? What do you have to do to achieve those things? Silence that critic, because they're going to tell you, you'll never do that. And write it out, and then operationally define it. And then what you do is you dedicate yourself to doing it. You push back on those internal critics. You push back on those voices, and you do it, and you drive yourself. And you know what? You're going to get your parent, that narcissistic parent, is going to feel very threatened and very scared. That's fine. Let them feel that way. Let them feel the way they need. It's hard to say this, but sometimes you have to build with people that are going to build you up. And sometimes the narcissistic parent is the one that continues to suck you down. That doesn't mean that you don't talk to them forever. What that means is that they have to accept your drive to do what you want to do, to achieve what you want to achieve. And some instances they accept, because eventually or possibly you could break through. They start to see you're doing the things they were too afraid to do, right? Sometimes, though, they become passive-aggressive and they try to take you down. So you have to be careful with that. So, I mean, we can't talk about all the different components here, but you need to be careful. But sometimes they'll get on board. You know, I don't believe that you have to write them off. I think, but I don't think that ultimately I'm never going to talk to them again. I don't think you have to do that. I think in some cases, perhaps you do, but I don't think in all cases you do. And I think that that's why it's very individualized, that you can do these things, that you can achieve, and you can do good things, but get that critic out of your head, get that narcissistic parent out of your head, spit them out, right? Get them out. And you do you. That's the most important thing. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for your time and attention. This was actually a suggestion from someone who saw some of my other videos and asked me to do it. So any other suggestions, please let me know. And thank you all for your time and attention. Fight those inner critics, and like, share, and take care. Bye-bye. Hi, it's Dr. Fox, licensed psychologist in the state of Texas, and an expert in the area. Today, I wanted to talk about obsessive love and BPD. Now, imagine that you're attracted to someone and you have a strong need for love, right? And you must have it, but you're overcome with fear and you feel like you don't deserve it. So you have no frame of reference to identify on what it is or on how to build it. And when you try to get it, it's like this tornado hitting Dorothy's house, right? In The Wizard of Oz. The desire to feel that love is one thing, but it gets compounded by the need to have it reciprocated, intermixed with the confusion whether or not you deserve it. Now, this is what it's often like for individuals with BPD when they feel attraction and find an object to love. Now, this is also called limerence. This is defined as a cognitive and emotional state of intense romantic desire for another individual. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. So let's learn more about it. And don't forget, like, share, and subscribe, and let's get into it.